Testing, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 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 Hello and welcome to the 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. My name is Aaron Thompson and we're coming to you live now for race 17 of the championship. But before then, let's have a quick run down the starting grid. On pole position, we have Elias Sapanen from Finland, followed closely by Yash Aradia, a local racing hero, and Luca Allen in third position. Rounding out the top five are Malaysia's Muiz Mustafa and Oman Shihab Al Habsi. Another Malaysian, Ao Young, sits in sixth position, just ahead of the third Malaysian on the grid, in fact, Muhammad Imran. Ibrahim is in fact an Indian national, but he resides in Malaysia, at least for the moment, sitting on seventh position on the grid, just in front of Sneha Sharma, who had a very interesting qualifying session to finish ahead of Mira Erda, her competitor for the leading lady category. As you can see now, the cars are all coming around what looks to be turn 7. At the front of the grid there, you can see, I believe, Muiz Mustafa and number 17, Yash Aradia, just off screen now as the cars come through the possession on what would be their second lap. That means that when the cars stop at this time, that'll be the race start. All the lights will go on, and as they extinguish, we will be underway. As you can see now, the cars all approaching turn 12. Everybody seems to be fine. You can see the marshal there bringing them into position. As you can hear, ladies and gentlemen, the noise from the cars is quite loud at the start of the race, so we will be going quiet in just a moment so you can experience everything for yourself. Everybody seems to be coming into line nicely, with Elias Sapanen, as we said, in the red number 58 on the right of your screens, Yash Aradia in the orange number 17 just behind him, and the third car on the grid on the left-hand side of the track, that's the blue number 3, that's Luke Allen. Don't confuse him from Kane Shepherd, who did fantastic here last year in another blue number 3 car, because he wouldn't be happy about that. This is an Irishman through and through, ready to go racing at any moment. As you can hear, cars are ready to go, lights are on, and we are underway. Fantastic start from everybody. Yash tucks in behind Elias, maybe a little bit slow off the line because Luke Allen is all up behind him. Yash did say this is where he needs to work on his start of the race. That's the purple or pink number 22 of Al Young, just behind the red number 34 of Shihab Al Habsi. Everybody seems to get through turn 1, no problems there, because that's a very tricky corner indeed, especially in these high-speed situations. They come through turn 2 and now turn 3 with Elias Sapanen still at the front of the pack, and the blue number 3 of Luca Allen right up behind the orange number 17 of the Indian local racing hero, Yash Aradia. Yash Aradia, of course, an experienced hand, having raced here in the 1600 cars. down through into turn 4 now. This is the end of the first sector. Right there, that's where the first sector cuts, and then they come through. Oh, Yash goes a little bit wide there on the exit of turn 4 into turn 5. That's going to compromise him, but Luca gets stuck behind him as well, so I don't think that's going to have any negative effect on the Indian driver as they come through turn 6 and turn 7 now. We have seen overtaking here last year with Alessandro Duretti, Kane Shepard, and Luis Machafra all made moves here, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, as they come through what's known as 7B and down into the second half of the circuit, up into turn 8, which is a sharp 90 degrees right-hander, followed by a sharp 90 degrees left-hander as they come down into turn 9 and towards the third sector of the track. As you can see, Elias Sapana doing fantastically, already building a bit of a lead for himself as he comes down the possession into turn 9B, just into turn 10, right ahead of them, then around the big about 140 degree U-turn of turn 10, and then a sharp maybe 70 or maybe 100 degree corner into the bridge section. That's turn 11. Then down into turn 12, here we go. This is actually an overtaking corner in these cars. We've seen it happen last year with Alessandro Duretti. Don't know if it's going to happen again this year, but it was a fantastic thing to experience, so I very much hope so. As we come through the first lap complete now, looks like Shihab Al-Habsi is still stuck behind Muiz Mashaffa, and Alistair Young just behind him. Team Malaysia may decide to team up on the Omani, though, as they have done before, as they come through turn 2 and into turn 3 now with Elias Sapana building up a nice lead for himself, because Yash Adia has to focus on defending from the man behind him, Luca Allen, who's in this for the championship and is going to have to battle his way up to get past the man in front of him and chase for Elias Sapana, who is a serious competitor in this championship, this 2019 Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship that we've been talking about all year long. The 10-event, 40-race championship sees drivers from all across the region, all across Europe, America, everywhere. They've been down to race with us, and it's a fantastic experience, and everybody has a good day. Let's have a look at the lap times. Elias Sapana sets a 1:42.154, Yasha 1:43.001, so you can see the difference there. Yash and Aradia doing the 1:43s and Elias Sapana doing the 1:42s. That's how hard Yash is having to drive to keep the man behind him, Luke Allen, right where he wants him, as we come through what seems to be turn 7 now, and down into the left-handed turn 8 again. In the first sector, we can see that Elias is fastest. We're about to cut into the second sector again. Let's see what happens there. Yash definitely speeding up in the first sector this lap, matching Elias's time, at least in the first sector. Let's see what happens when we cut into the second sector, because that hasn't refreshed on our screens just yet, as the cars now come up the bridge down into turn 12. And it looks like Luca Allen has fallen back a bit from India's Yash Aradia. At least that's what it appears like on my screens. Or maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe it was just a camera angle, as everybody goes very wide indeed coming out of turn 11, and it looks like Shihab Al-Habsi is alongside Muiz Mashafra, and he's going to take him up the inside into turn 1. Fantastic driving from the Omani, and terrible news for Malaysia, because now the two Malaysians are going to be fighting for position. Alistair Young goes outside, switches back to the inside, and takes Muiz Mashafra on the inside of turn 2. Beautiful driving from the pink number 22 there, the Malaysian of Alistair Young, making everything happen today for his country. As we come through turn, well, actually, this is not a corner. This is called the Kink. This is lovingly referred to as the Kink by the Madras Motor Race Circuit, and of course the club that runs it, as we come up now into the end of sector 1 and down into turn 4. Brilliant driving for everybody. Let's have a look at the lap times again. Sorry, that hasn't refreshed on our board just yet. So let's concentrate on the racing action and see what's happening further down the grid. That looks to me to be a purple car. That must be Sneha Sharma. A little bit too far away for me to make out the numbers. Could be Alistair Young, but no, it's Alistair Young. That's Alistair Young and Shihab Al-Habsi. Shihab Al-Habsi, of course, getting past Muiz, and Alistair doing the same thing as well. Perhaps the Malaysian is struggling a little bit in this session, because he was fastest in testing. Fantastic lap time set by him down into the 1:38s. But everything's gone wrong for him in this first race. Not quite sure what happened. Of course, we'll need to do an interview with him after the session. We'll get that up on Facebook and Twitter for you right away, and we'll all know what's happened. But don't count him out just yet, because Muiz Mashafra, a fantastic driver who's going to drive his heart out and do everything he can to get back up onto the top spot where he deserves to be. As Alistair Young brings us through turn 11 now, in 5th position at the moment as we come through, or I should say in 6th position, in 5th position at the moment as we come through turn 12 onto the 3rd lap of the session, as we come around now with Elias Sapana once again setting the fastest time of the race, doing a 1:38.991. That's 7/10ths faster than anyone else on track. Of course, Yash Aradia and Luke Allen embroiled in an intense battle for 2nd and 3rd position, and Shihab Al-Habsi using that to his advantage to close in on the men in front of him and look for a podium position. Of course, at the moment, the Omani is in fourth, just ahead of Alistair. So that's a good result for him already, but if he can capitalize on this battle between the orange and blue cars, the 17 and number 3 just ahead of him, that'd be fantastic news for Oman, and fantastic news for the Omani as well, as they come down now towards the end of the first sector into turn 4. Brilliant driving all around as we come into turn 5 now. This is a very interesting corner again. The braking point not actually until the middle of the corner. I was out driving earlier on with Amanal, our chief engineer, who was giving some instruction to some of our drivers, of course having a little bit of fun himself, as well as it is a fantastic circuit to drive around and everybody really enjoys themselves. You can hear that from Elias Sapanen himself, the man at the front of the track, on his Facebook interview that which we uploaded this morning. As we come around now, turn 7B up into turn 8, sharp right-hander. I wonder where the braking point is here, probably about 50 meters, I imagine, as they come around again. This is what's happening here, folks. Luca is dropping back just a little bit in this sector because of the nature of the track, but he's going to be right up on top of him again as we come through up over the bridge and continue racing here in Formula 4 Southeast Asia, race 17, of course fueled by Petron as always, with 13 minutes and 51 seconds on the board. Coming up over the bridge and down into turn 12, once again we've got Yash Ardia in the orange number 17 just ahead of the blue number 3 of Luke Allen. You can see Shihab Al-Habsi, not this red car, the next red car to come up on your screens. That's Shihab Al-Habsi fast encroaching on the blue car of Luke Allen just ahead of him as Elias Sapanen continues to lead the pack and widen his gap every chance he's given, and he's been given 3 laps to do so just this far, because Yash Ardia keeping the Irish driver Luke Allen just behind him and not letting it, really he's ruining the day for his competitor as we come through the kink now with Elias Sapanen, the red number 58. Up we go and away into the second half of, or the second third of the circuit, I should say. Here's Sneha Sharma, the purple number 9, our leading lady at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, with Mira Erda just behind her in the blue number 36 as the rest of the procession takes us through turn 4. You can see Elias Sapanen, he's the man who just left your screens in the red car on the right hand side of the screen, and now we're focusing in on Yash Ardia, who's the second man on the grid. He qualified in second position, fantastic result for him, and he's been pushing himself all session to stay ahead of Luke Allen. You can see the effect of that. The gap between the second 5 people on the grid is almost immeasurable as Shihab Al-Habsi closes in on the man in front of him, Luke Allen. Alistair Young does the same thing with the Omani, and Muiz Mushafir does the same thing with his Malaysian compatriot as well. We continue racing now with the orange number 17 of Yash Ardia bringing us through turn 7B, no sorry, is that 9B, down into 10. This is a very interesting corner again. You've got like a little, maybe a 30 or 40 degrees kink, that's called 9B, brings you into turn 10 where the braking point is about midway through the corner. And here we go around the outside with Shihab Al-Habsi down into turn 12 with Luke Allen. Is he going to try for it? Not quite, but he looks like he's got a lot of speed coming out of this corner. Luca maybe twitches a little bit on the exit. It's going to be side by side into turn 1. Shihab Al-Habsi on the outside. Can Alistair Young in the pink number 22 up just behind them make anything happen as well? Coming into turn 1, can he do it? He's going to go around the outside of the Omani, but he's stuck in behind the blue car. He's got nowhere to go, and Muiz Mushafir going to make something happen as well. No, everybody stays exactly where they are because Luca boxed in the Malaysian and he had nowhere to go, and Muiz Mushafir just a little bit too far back to make anything happen. But you can see how exciting the racing is here, and that's really hurt Luca's race. He lost it just a little bit, just for a tenth of a second, not even that, a microsecond it was. He just twitched coming out of turn 11. That put Shihab up beside him, and now Shihab is all over the back of him, and of course, unfortunately, Luca losing out competition to Yash Ardia. He's now got to catch himself back up and find a way to get back into competition for the top spot on the podium, because Elias Sapanen at the moment is walking away with this race, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to come through turn 7B now with the Irishman Luke Allen still defending his second position from the man behind him, Shihab Al-Habsi, and of course Muiz Mushafir and Alistair Young trying to make something happen here for Malaysia. The pink car of number 22, Alistair Young, almost doing just that last time around, may be able to make something happen when we get to the checkered flag this time. That turn 1 seems to be where all the action is happening, but we have seen overtaking at pretty much every corner here last year between Alessandro Duretti, Kane Shepherd, and Muiz Mushafir, all making some very interesting things. I don't even know what to call it. It's almost a miracle what they did last year. Yeah, between those three and the rest of the grid as well. As we come up over the bridge down into turn 12 now, one more lap with Elias Sapanen at the front of the grid. Looks to me to be 10 minutes left on the leaderboard, although they may not have refreshed yet. As we come across the start finish line, Elias Sapanen in the lead once again. Yash Ardia second place, Luke Allen third, Shihab Al-Habsi almost in third place but still stuck back and forth as Alistair Young fights in fifth, and Malaysia's Muiz Mushafir just behind him as well. Heading back down the grid, you got Mohammed Ibrahim tussling with Sneha Sharma and Mira Erda as we continue to come through the kink now with Yash Ardia trying to catch his way back up to Elias Pan at the front of the grid. Let's have a look at the lap times. Yash doing a 1:38.881, Elias doing a 1:39 dead. Of course, Elias doesn't need to worry so much at the moment. He's got a big gap, so he's just taking his time, relaxing, and just trying to focus on keeping his tyres clean. But he's going to see the Indian behind him in the orange number 17 closing the gap soon, and he's going to step on the throttle. And then we're going to have a race to the checkered flag, ladies and gentlemen, as we come around turn 7 now with Elias Pan in the red number 58 on your screens. He's led from lap 1. He qualified in pole position. Fantastic weekend for him so far. As we come down now with 7B with Alci and Muiz Mujaffa fighting for 5th position. The Malaysian at the back of the grid in 6th. Not quite close enough to make anything happen on his comrade, but he's definitely closing in because that's his mission in life. Of course, you can talk to him after the race and see exactly how much he cares about making this happen for everyone and all of his mechanics as well who support him eternally as we come through what looks to be 9B now, down braking hard into corner 10. You can see the braking point there as Luke Allen in the blue number 3 car trying to catch up to Yash Ardia and find his way past the Indian. Of course, unfortunately for Luca, Yash, a local racing hero here, more than familiar with this track, using his knowledge to really do a fantastic job this weekend, and hopefully for India he'll stay in that position, might even be able to find his way further up and make India proud with a win this weekend. We'll see later on though, because at the moment Elias Sapadin is still driving fantastically, leading the grid from the start of the race, and this time around matching Yash Ardia's lap time, almost exactly off by only 0.04 of a second as we come past the start-finish straight and everything gets refreshed. You can see Luke Allen definitely closing back in on Yash Ardia through the kink there, and Shihab Al-Amsi just behind the man in blue as we come into the closing sectors of the first sector and down into turn 4. Shihab a little bit too far back to make anything happen here as Sneha Sharma in the purple number 9 still battling with Mira Erda just behind her as we come down now into turn 7 and up into turn 7B. In just a moment, that's the left-handed section that Elias Sapadin is just taking us through now. Yeah, she's going to have to start focusing on keeping Luke Allen behind him once again because she's driving fantastically. Fastest man on track at the moment doing a 1:38.889. Actually, that's not correct. The fastest man on track at the moment is Shihab Al-Habsi doing a 1:38.799. So Shihab Al-Habsi driving fantastically for Oman. And you can see he's right up behind Luca, but Alistair is just so close to the Omani. He's all over the back of him. He's going to have to try and make a move very soon, but this track is a very difficult place to do that. It's about 8 to 10 meters wide and it's very technical, so you have to really set yourself up to make something happen, and Luke Allen may have done that just now. He seemed to be right up behind at turn 11, closing in a little bit here on the braking point. Yash handles it beautifully though, doesn't punch under pressure, and coming through turn 1, everything's going to stay as it is because nobody's close enough to make anything happen. Well, that's not fair to say. Everybody's within about a tenth of a second of each other, but they just can't find a way past the man in front of them because it's such a difficult circuit. As we come now through turn 2, Luke Allen might try and make something happen at turn 3. He looked to be close enough to the orange number 17 of Yash Ardia, which should appear on the right hand side of your screens in just a moment, and there it does. So that means Yash is still fending off the Irishman just behind him, but you can see how close everyone is. It's really been this distance between the top 5 or 6 drivers since the beginning of the race, and now with 6 minutes or less to go on the board, these drivers must be exhausted from all the pressure they've been under, but everyone driving beautifully, nobody cracking, everybody managing to keep everyone at bay, and Muiz Mujaffa just fighting to get back into his top 5 position in front of Alex Pion. I'm sure he's desperate to make it happen as we come through the exit of turn 7 down into the left-handed little kink of 7B with Muiz Mujaffa just leaving the screens there, and back to the front of the grid we've got Yash Ardia and Luke Allen. I mean, I say the front of the grid, but it's only about 100 meters difference, ladies and gentlemen, between 6th position and 1st position, or at the very least between 6th position and 2nd position, because Elias Sapadin really walking away with this race, driving fantastically, of course aided by the fact that Luke Allen has been all over the back of Yash Ardia, not giving him a chance to catch up to the man in front of him. And coming through turn 10 and up into turn 11 now, that doesn't seem to be changing because you can barely see the difference between the orange car and the blue car just behind him. That's Yash Ardia and Luke Allen, of course, as we come across the start finish straight once again with Elias Sapadin. Let's see what time he does. Screens haven't refreshed just yet, so let's continue to watch the racing action because it's fantastic action on track this weekend. Everybody's so close together, I don't know what to call. The cameraman doesn't know where always look because anything can happen anywhere at any point in time. As Elias Sapanen now brings us through turn 3, the red number 58 car, of course, who's been at the front of the grid since the beginning of the race, and brings us to the kink now, expertly done by the Finn, as we like to call him, as Yasha Adia just behind him in the orange number 17. Still fending off his position from Luke Allen in third position. Of course, Luca more familiar in these F4 cars, a little bit more experience in Formula 4 Southeast Asia as well, as Shihab Al-Habsi or Alas Young lock up going into turn 4. I wonder if that's going to mean anything for Luke Allen or the Romanians to come into the second sector of the track with Mira Erdin now. This is Mira fighting for position with Sneha Sharma. Unfortunately for her, at least, Sneha still managing to maintain her position as we come through turn 7B with Muiz Mujaffer in the orange number 13. Now back to the front of the grid with Elias Sapanen. Elias bringing us through turn 8 now. This is an interesting sector of the track, up into the final sector of the track now as they cross turn 9. If you can see the little slip road there, that marks the beginning of the final sector of the lap. You can see how close together Alistair Young and Shihab Al-Habsi are. Alistair doing a 139.392, Shihab doing a 139.589. The gap almost non-existent as we come into the closing sectors, the closing corners of the race, up over the bridge, down into turn 12, as Shihab Al-Habsi trying to close into Luke Allen, not close enough to make anything happen, and now Young right behind him, as well as they cross the start finish straight once again. Let's have a quick refresh of the timing board, see what happened. In just a moment, I'll let you know everybody's position. Well, of course, everybody's position is stay the same. It's Elias Sapanen, Yasha Adia, Luke Allen, Shihab Al-Habsi, Alistair Young, Muiz Mujaffer, Mohamed Ibrahim, Sneha Sharma, and Mira Erdin. Elias doing a 139.7, 39.6 from Yash, 39.7 from Luca, 39.5 from Shihab. Shihab, fastest man on track, if I'm not mistaken. No, that is a mistake indeed. That's Alistair Young, the fastest man on track at the moment, but he's still stuck behind the Omani. Actually, no, ladies and gentlemen, fastest man on track at the moment is Muiz Mujaffer. Muiz coming to life in the closing sectors of the lap. He's got 3 minutes left to go. He might be able to find his way past the man in front of him, Alistair Young, but you can see that gap is quite significant. Might be about a second. Might be not enough time left for him to make anything happen as we come through turn 6 and now turn 7 of this very interesting corner indeed. It's hard to make it out from this angle, but it's actually quite flat and quite wide as we come now into 7B. That's a little kink on the exit of turn 7. Down into turn 8, braking point is going to be about 50 meters, I imagine, maybe even less than that in these cars with the superior downforce on the front and rear wing. Of course, what people often don't realize is the floor has been significantly redesigned from the FBO2, which used to be used in Asia Cup days between the Gal chassis. The floor is a significant improvement in the downforce and really changes the entire racing characteristics of the cars. We come through turn 10 now, up into the right-handed turn 11. You can see how close Alistair Young and Shihab Al-Habsi and Luke Allen are. They're going to make something happen. They're all waiting for the last lap, I imagine. Don't want to risk anything happening in the middle of the race. You're going to wait for the last lap and find your last opportunity and find your way past. And that's exactly what they're going to do. As Elias Sapanen now leads us through turn 1. Everybody ducking behind us. Have another refresh of the timing screens and see we know where everybody is, but let's see at the lap time. See if Muiz Mujaffer is still closing in to the man in front of him. Of course, we know this about Muiz. He sometimes takes a little bit of time to make everything happen, but by the end of the race, he's woken up and he's the fastest man on the track. And that's going to be repeated here again today, as again, he's in the 139.2, is the only man to do that this lap. As we come through the kink now with Yash Ardia, Luca Allen, Shihab Al-Habsi, and Alistair Young. Fantastic racing from everybody. There's been no instance, nothing to mention, nothing going wrong for everybody. Just really beautiful driving, really close driving from everyone. Great competition. Would have loved to see more overtaking, but this track is just so tight and difficult to make anything happen. So everybody really defending themselves beautifully to keep themselves in position and just not giving everybody an inch. And you can see the differences, 2 or 3 tenths between between the top 6, and it's just really beautiful to watch. Let's have a look a little bit further down the grid. We've got Sneha Sharma, of course, driving in the leading lady character. Okay, she's still fending off Mira Erdin. Fantastic driving from her. Back to the front of the grid, though, let's have a look at Elias Sapanen, the red number 58. Still ahead of Yash Adia. Of course, his gap significant enough now that he can rest easy, unless I've just given him the commentator's curse, which may not be the worst thing in the world. Elias Sapanen unfazed by anything that comes to him. For 30 minutes before the start of his race, he sits down, he's got his headphones in, gets his mind in gear, doesn't let anybody distract him, and that's exactly what he's done, and that's why he's been so successful this weekend. He's just found a way to get his head in the right place and get to the front of the grid and stay there. Fantastic driving from him. I'm sure his parents are very proud of his mother here this weekend. As always, boys as we come through turn 1 now with Shihab Al-Habsi and Alistair Young just behind him. Alistair doing a 1:39.339 and Shihab doing a 1:39.368. So that's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. Only 1,000th of a second difference between, 300th of a second difference between the two. So it's really close racing. Alistair, as you can see, all over the back of that red car. There's going to be some overtaking action here, and this is what I presume is the last lap, perhaps the second last lap, where we're going to see some action here between Alistair Young and Shihab Al-Habsi. Unfortunately, Alistair had a little bit of an off, did a lot of damage to his car earlier on in testing. Sneha Sharma, similar thing happened to her in qualifying, but not before she managed to put in a fast enough lap to lead the leading lady category. As we come across 10-7 now with Yash Adia and Moise Mushafir. Now let's have a look back to Sneha Sharma in the purple number 9, still defending from the yellow number 36 of Mira Erda just behind her as we return to the grid now with Elias Span in the red number 58 car just behind him, the orange number 17 of Yash Adia. As we come through turn 8 and turn 9 now and down into turn 9B before the very, very interesting corner sections of turn 10, which is a full U-turn that you brake in the middle of, and then you have to keep it tight before you turn into turn 11 because there's just not enough space for you to use the full track. And then you're up over the bridge down into turn 12, and that's your lap as you come down the start-finish straight. Is this the last lap, ladies and gentlemen? I haven't seen the last lap board. The countdown, there we go, checkered flags. That's Elias Span wins the race, wins race 17. He's going to have a smile on his face. And Luke Allen and, Yash Adia in second position, and Luke Allen, of course, in third. Looks like Shihab Al-Habsi crossed the line in fourth position for Alistair Young and Moise Mushafir. Mohammed Rabahim finishing in 7th. Good result from the rookie driver there. And Sneha Sharma in 8th. Of course, the leading lady, Sneha Sharma, managed to keep Mira Erda just behind her. And I'm sure all of these guys are exhausted. So it's fantastic racing and really, I've got to say, fantastic racing. So close between everyone giving their all, but just nobody managed to find a way past. Everyone was within a tenth of each other the whole race, but there was no mistakes made, and everybody found their ways to the checkered flag. So really, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of the race. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.
கேமரா ஆஃப் பண்ணிடலாமா?